Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we're bringing in Adam Argyle. How you doing, Adam?
I'm swell. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to have you on the show. I think this is going to be a fun one. We were talking before about how we've been like in each other's Twitter orbits forever and never actually really spoke until this happy accident of you sending me a message about open props. So for folks who aren't familiar with your work, do you want to give us a little bit of a background on who you are, what you do?
Yeah, sure. Been in the industry many years, consultancy jobs, startups. I mean, you name it, probably had a role there. Even like design managing and all sorts of stuff. But the thing I love is just making good UI because it's really hard. And when it's done really well, here's something funny I've been really frustrated with. The better that I do my job as a UX engineer, the more gorgeous and buttery and easy of an interface that I make, the less someone respects my technical chops because they're like, oh, this carousel is so easy to use. It must be easy. And I'm like, damn it. I've like myself by making it so easy. People think my work isn't good. No. So anyway, that's just me kind of complaining, but I love the UI space. I love making interfaces. I work at Google now on CSS for the Chrome team. I'm like their relations engineer, and I just love watching the specs, helping the specs, and then kind of like I build stuff every day. So I'm on the ground, and then I go back to Chrome, and I'm like, some of this stuff is really hard, and then I go back to the ground, and I try to really keep this like healthy cycle of how do I keep updating things, making it easier for people to build stuff. And yeah, that's kind of a decent little short wrap.
Yeah. And it, selfishly, I was very excited when you reached out because one of my favorite things, as anybody who's watched more than a few episodes of this show will know, I love CSS. Like, it is so much fun for me to get in and build things and start tweaking the way they look and feel. And it's often something that I will get so into in a show that I forget to do the rest of the show. So I'm very excited in this case that what we are doing as the episode is CSS. I think that's going to be really, really beneficial to my proclivity to spend a lot of time on it. But so specifically, you're working on something that I find really interesting, which is it's called Open Props, right? And so Open Props is, let me take a crack at this and then you can correct my take. Open Props is kind of like Tailwind if you just wanted to use the platform.
So you're onto something there, which is why on the homepage of Open Props it says subatomic, because we have atomic systems.
Yeah,
you got Tailwind, which is this atomic system. You have other atomic systems, and you use them via the class, and the class can encapsulate many things. Well, Open Props is kind of taking the ethos of like a pre-made design system that's got all these healthy choices for you. And instead of delivering it as classes, it delivers as many things as it can as simple static props.
Yeah.
You get this sort of composability in a new way at the property, at the value level, as opposed to the class level. So you could go build your own atomic style sheet out of Open Props. But yeah, so thinking about them in atoms along the lines of Tailwind is a good way to think about it. Tailwind still has some clear advantages. I mean, being a utility style sheet is still a really great way to go. So you could kind of merge them if you like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then when we're talking about here's what I saw that I thought was cool, because I in my typical fashion did zero research here before we started this show.
Rad.
But what I looked at the homepage for a few minutes, and what I saw that I got excited about is all I have to do to use Open Props is add an @import in my style sheet. Like, I don't need a build system. I don't need to like really use any compilers. I just get to say, okay, I want to use this, and now I use like CSS variables. And so I do like the var, dash whatever, and I get one of these properties, and it just works. And I find that very encouraging, because that was the magic of like when you used to use something like, say, Bootstrap, where it was this sort of magical, like, well, once I've started, now I can just put whatever I want in here, and it just works. Like, I don't need any complicated thing. I don't have to figure out how to hook my CSS into my JavaScript, into my HTML. I can just like be writing code the way that I know how that works in the browser. And this should allow us to kind of prototype in the browser. But then the other cool thing about this is it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, we can also plug it into any build system really easily. So like today, I know we were going to use Next.js so that we can sort of show like, hey, look, you can use this wherever you want. Like you can do it in plain HTML, but also you can take it into your very complicated build system and it's just going to work.
Yep. Excellent recaps. It fits right in with CSS modules. It fits in with Sass. So Sass can import all these props and then use them however you want. It has many levels of like usage. The most basic usage is pop in the CDN import, no NPM, nothing. Just grab the props and go. It can be that simple. There's an NPM install. So if you want to NPM install it, you can pull in the dependency with nice NPM exports. So if you don't like typing out the whole URL, you can type import open props, import open props / just the gradients, so that's another fun thing about open props is everything is also served as an individual file. So if you want just the colors, or if you want just the gradients or just the animations, honestly, you should import just the easings. The easings inside of open props are really cool. So yeah, you can grab and go a lot or a little. You can CDN, you can NPM, and then there's a final super cool step, which is if you want to go to the advanced mode, if you're really worried about performance and just not shipping props you don't use, you can use this plugin for post CSS that I created called JIT props, just-in-time props. And what you do is you set up the plugin to have this pool of all the properties. So it's just sitting there in memory. And as you use them, just like Tailwind, as you use them, the props will be put into the style sheet for you, literally only shipping the props that you used at build time. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And it sounds like it'll please the folks who are always worried about bloat in projects, which is that's one of the things that I think is really hard, because you don't think about this as you're building. You need to solve a problem, and so you start solving that problem, and then when you get to the end, if you don't consciously sit down and audit the amount of code you're shipping to the browser, you can accidentally be overfetching data. You can be shipping an entire library that you're using 1% of. You can be doing all of these things, and like some of that gets automatically handled, but typically it's the thing you got to do a manual cleanup on. So I love that this is just built in. Like, here's one more tool that we don't have to worry about. I can only ship what I use, and it'll automatically work. And I'm just like going about my business. I don't have to schedule a whole separate sprint or work cycle around performance review for open props. That's really nice. So is this is this a project that you built yourself? Is this coming out of a team? Like where did open props come from?
Yeah, this came from myself. As I've continued investing in custom properties, as I've continued building and implementing design systems. So like at Google 5 years ago, I was on the Google Cloud team as a UX engineer on the design systems team. There was tons of us. So I've been really deep into design system land for a long time, looking at the consistency and the inconsistencies that kind of come out of those. And Open Props was born out of like two things. First one was like a lot of my own stuff was coming along with me, whether it was like fluid typography, custom properties, custom property tricks. Like we'll see one with border radius. We have a conditional border radius property, which will be rounded unless it's full width, and then it goes square. So you have this like automatically adjusting corner radius. That's a trick that someone else made, and it's super awesome. And now it's just one prop away for you to use. So I was like noticing that superpowers can get baked into props, and then you give them a rad name, which is nice. So you like give this trick a meaningful name. And so I was acquiring those over time. And then the thing that really, this is where it hits home for me, is most design systems are thinking a little bit bigger than the web, which is great. They output colors for every platform, Android, iOS, and web. The bummer is whenever they ship those web colors, they're probably a hex color, and hex is fine, but I don't know how much you know about all the color theory stuff that's coming out, but it's not gonna be good enough soon.
And right, that's where we get into, what is it called, HSL, HSB? Is that what's coming, or what's coming?
Yeah. Oh, dude, have me on for another color show. This would be so much fun. So okay, so you've got HSL, RGB, all the now you have HWB, hex. You have the hex 4 and the hex 8 codes. Anyway, all of those are within the same color space of sRGB. which was the typical monitors that we've had for
Right.
30, 40 years. Think of them like the lowest common denominator color space. Think
Right.
back to when you used to only have 256 colors on the web. We're in the same spot now, except we're stuck at 256 million colors or something. But every display that most people have, I know, right? I need more colors. But every display that people have in their pocket, the one that you're probably looking at right now, is probably a high definition display. It's got the capabilities for these vibrant colors and richer blacks and stuff like that. And so by using sRGB and hex or RGB to access colors, you're picking colors from that low common denominator color space. When this future that's already shipped in Safari, you can access the colors that do reach into the better display. And so in order to get that, though, you have to be conscious of color spaces and be thinking about color that way. And so when I was making Open Props, I wanted it to be CSS centric, not multi-platform. So this is kind of where this design system is very unique. It's webby to the core. It uses web units like rems and characters that don't transport to other places in the web. The box shadows are very specifically created, like stuff like the gradients don't port to other platforms. All of this stuff is like made for web, as small as it can be and tucked behind a well-named prop. And so that's the other idea was I wanted a web design system to use, not one that was trying to fulfill a bunch of stuff I didn't have. I just made a web one.
No, that's super cool. And yeah, now I'm like I want to learn more about color. So we'll do that in a future episode. Today we're doing CSS. I have a proposal for you, by the way. I have a proposal for how to name, because earlier you said conditional props, and I feel very strongly that you should rename that to swappy props.
Swappy props. Ooh, it's fun to say. Swap and prop. It is fun to say.
Swappy props, right, swapping props.
dropping swappy props. Ooh, I can't even say it fast.
That's something. Okay, who's making music out there? Like dropping swappy props. Somebody remix that.
Definitely asking for it.
Okay, so what else should people know about Open Props before we move over into actually building something with it?
Cool. Yeah. Maybe just like a couple things. One of them is a lot of people are like, I already have a design system. I don't need yours. And I'm like, that's fine. But do you have easings? Do you have animations in your design system? Do you have how rich are your shadows? Are your shadows adaptive to light and dark? If the answer to these is no, then all you have to do is go import one of the prop packs. So I call them prop packs. So that was the thing I like.
And if you call now, you'll get 4 bonus prop packs for the price of 1.
Well, I need to do like what Hearthstone does, where like a pack comes in. It's like, ooh, open up the pack, and it like explodes in your face.
No, I mean,
you just downloaded another pack.
I think that's great though, because you bring up a really good point, which is that I think every company I've ever worked at, and many companies that I've worked with people who are there, they're always working on some sort of like central design system where they're trying to solve a set of problems, and the central problem that they're trying to solve is we want things to feel good and feel ours. But the vast majority of these teams have like 1 person or 2 people who really have the bandwidth to focus on a design system. And there are a lot of business needs that span the whole company, and you just don't have time to do all of those things. So the way you just phrased that is like you can use Open Props as a way to polyfill your design system. And then if you do get around to doing your own gradients, great, drop these out. But if you don't have time, keep them. It gives you that support. It's something predictable while you get around to building your own custom version, and stuff that you just never really need to care about, like a border radius swappy prop. Like that's not a thing you need to build in house. Just like, oh, if it goes full width, don't round the corners. I love that. Don't make me build that myself. Just make that work. So I like the idea of thinking of it as not just you use it all or none, but rather as a supplement to the work you're doing in house. And because of your post CSS plugin, you're literally only bringing in the pieces that you need to polyfill. That feels like a really easy win for teams on design systems, to just get a lot of extra bandwidth to get you out the door, so that you don't have to build the whole thing at once and then hope everybody uses it. You can tackle the real problems, polyfill with something like Open Props, get adoption and then reinvest the buy-in that you get into building out custom versions of the things that really matter.
100%. Yes, excellent recap. So item number 2, so other than being able to just pick and choose tiny or a lot of props and various ways to consume them, it does offer a normalized CSS file as well as a buttons CSS file. And I'm working on an inputs file so that in addition to you importing the props, let's say you're starting a new project, kind of like we're going to do today. You're like, well, I'll just pull in Open Props normalize. This is a CSS developer from Google Chrome. Hopefully it's well thought out normalize. I think it is. And by bringing that in, it uses the props to create a normalized style sheet, and then you can import the buttons. So it's like 3 imports. You can have an adaptive normalized, so it automatically comes with light and dark, and all the buttons come with light and dark. And you sort of get set up into this and the buttons are awesome. You just use the tag, no class names. If you add a type onto it, it changes the way it looks. So the type is the way that you change how it behaves. And so it can really springboard you there if you're looking to start something new and you're okay adopting some of the styles that I've chosen. So it's like Open Props gets opinionated as soon as you import the normalize, but there's cool things you can get from there. So it's again, there's a prong here where it's you're either adopting the props because you want to go rogue and do your own thing and just feel very free, or you can go get normalized and kind of start from this base. And the base, it comes with some cool things, and we'll talk about. But yeah, there's text classes and surface classes that kind of come with these really excellent pairings for you. Anyway, we'll get into it.
Yeah, you got some fans in the chat. Brian is explicitly calling out your design philosophy. Which I think is maybe a good segue. Is there anything else you want to cover before I switch us over to actually start trying things out?
No, let's dig in.
Let's
start using props.
Let's do this. I'm going to take us over into the pair programming view here. And I need to get that off screen so that we don't have the infinite recursion. So before we start, let me pull up this show, like every show, is being live captioned. So if you head to the homepage of learnwithjason.dev, you can see these live captions. Those today are being provided by Maggie at White Coat Captioning. Thank you so much, Maggie. And that's made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, NX, New Relic, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people and just generally keep the lights on, which I really, really appreciate. We are talking today to Adam, who is at Argyle Inc. on Twitter. And you can go over there, give a follow. Let me drop the lwj.dev for anybody who wants those captions in the chat as well. And we are talking about Open Props. Is it Open Props am I doing this wrong? .style. Love it. Okay. So here is the Open Props website. And we have reached the end of my knowledge about Open Props. So what's the first thing I should do here?
Well, let's kick off a new Next project.
Okay.
So just start fresh. And
so I'm going to do an npm create next. I think that's how it starts, right? Yes. We're going to get one of these. And it didn't like that for reasons. Okay, I did something wrong. I'm going to go to the next docs because I clearly didn't.
I'm looking them up too. I'm like, I'll help you out. Let me pull up some docs.
All right, so getting started, we've got create next app, not create next. Okay,
create
I know
next
that's
app.
That's what happened. All right, so we're going to create next app. The project is going to be named Open Props, and we'll just throw a next.
Or Swappy. It should be Swappy P.
Swappy P.
Sounds like a rapper name. Oh, which reminds you, ever see that video from SNL? It was Point Pleasant Police Department.
Point Pleasant Police Department. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't even say that
it's
slow.
Intentionally lots of P's. Yeah, they're eating like muffins and drinking drinks, but they're talking with lots of P's and spitting on each other the whole time. They're like, and it's, anyway, so I keep thinking about props. It's like swappy props and I don't know.
Okay, so we got a project here. We'll pop it open, and so we'll get, this is the standard setup, but we're not going to do any of that today. So we will just I'll keep the head in.
While that's there, actually leave it there. It'll make a good example.
Okay, cool. So let me start this thing up.
our next step will be to npm install Open Props. Unless you want to use the CDN, I don't really know if you got a preference there.
So let's start with the CDN just to show, and then we'll swap it out.
Sure.
Okay, so here's our basic setup here.
Yeah, looking rad.
Okay.
Okay, so go to the Open Props site, and if you scroll down a bit, you'll find the CDN import.
This one?
See, it's down from there. Oh yeah, just grab that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Good old unpackage.
And let's see, we go to styles, globals. I just throw it right up at the top.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Throw it in there. Okay. So now we've just got the props. Nothing will change.
Right.
These don't do anything. That's actually one of the weird things about Open Props. It's like, hey, I installed your project. It doesn't do anything, man. I'm like, well, yeah, it's just values. And they're like, why would you ship just values? That's weird. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Anyway, so you have the values. Nothing has changed yet. Let's make a change though.
Okay.
So go back to your Create Next app. We're going to add a new line underneath our import. You can pretty much paste the whole thing you have again. And this time we're going to add an import for normalize. So after Open Props, we'll do /normalize.min.css.
Okay.
Hit save, and then we'll see some changes.
All right, things have happened.
Maybe. Okay, so now let's go delete all the styles that they have in that file there. All the HTML, all the body stuff. Because, yeah, it comes comes with normalize. So you can go back and you can see, look, we have a dark theme.
Okay.
So even though you haven't deployed anything, that's what normalize does, is it kind of creates a healthy set of browser styles, and then also puts in, using Open Props, a couple of colors so that you can have a light and a dark theme.
And so if I go to light mode, appearance, there it is, and then I can go to light mode, and it's okay. So this is coming out of Open Props.
Yep. So yeah, that's the background color that I set. It's not quite white. It's like a really light gray. Same thing with the background here.
Okay.
Nice
I'll keep
gray.
that off. I'll keep that up off screen so that we can toggle between light and dark mode as we go.
Perfect. But yeah, notice how the link color there, that's set from Open Props. It's like using Indigo 5 or something like that.
Which is great because editing. That's actually one of my beefs about the initial styles in a Next.js project, is that they're like completely masked. You can't see that it's a link. So immediately I would say this design just got more accessible, which is wonderful. So what should we do next?
Yeah, so next, just for funsies, just like you imported normalize, import the buttons.
Okay.
And that's just
like
buttons.min. Yep. Yeah. And then go put a button in there somewhere, just for fun. Just like, I want to see what these buttons look like. How easy is it?
All right, I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to start clearing things out a little bit because I want us to have a blank slate, because I think you talked about, you had a good idea that I want to mess with. So let's go with, to start, we'll just do a div, and then we'll drop in a button. We'll make it a type submit, and we'll say, or no, I'm going to make it a type button because it's not in a form. And
well, it was cool. I was like, you could do that. Yeah, but nice.
Okay.
There we go. There's your button.
Oh, look, and
has some nice hover effects. You can click. Oh yeah, it's got keyboard support, the whole nine. Hit spacebar on there, you'll see it. Yeah. Do you have reduced motion turned on?
Maybe. Let me check.
Because that should animate, but I don't know. It doesn't animate if you have reduced motion.
Accessibility, right?
Yeah.
Check. It's going to be.
You do not have reduced motion. All right, cool. We'll figure that one out later. Or maybe it's just like a frame rate thing. Is it animating for you? Or is it instant?
The hover is animating. Like the shadow is.
Clicking of it animates. Yeah.
Yeah. The focus didn't.
Okay.
The
I'll go
outline
check that
doesn't.
out.
I'm also on Edge,
I'll
so
go research. It should. Oh, I don't think that should matter. I'm just animating outline offset. So when you're active on there, whether it's mouse or keyboard, I shrink it down. Anyway, but this is like a nice place to start. So you've got the props, you've got the normalize and the buttons, and you're sort of like set up and good to go here.
So we were gonna build like a dashboard here, right? So
yeah.
we're gonna call this like LWG dashboard. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead because I want to make sure that we have enough time to actually style this out, and I get sometimes very pigeonholed on CSS. So
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
It's a dashboard showing past and upcoming LWJ episodes. All right, and so what we're gonna do in here is we want to let's do like a LWJ dashboard. All right, so we've got all that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start by just making up our function get static props, and that is going to be async. And I'm going to fetch, wow, what is happening? There we go. So I'm going to get a response. That response is going to be await fetch, and I have an API out here. It's going to be API schedule. So this is how, if anybody's interested, I've got the learn with JSON schedule there. So we're going to fetch that, and then we'll check if anything happened. And if it did, we'll console log, and
Oopsies.
we'd actually do some error handling, and then assuming that works, we'll do the schedule will be await res JSON, and then what we can return is, let's see, do we want all this data? What do we need and what don't we need? We might need, yeah, let's just keep it for now. And we will be able to send back the schedule. All right, so then what we'll get is in here, we'll get the schedule, and I want to put together let's go with a new function. We'll call this episode card, and now I'm just going to actually, yeah, we'll just dump it all in for now. And this function, for now, is just going to return a pre that will do a JSON stringify of whatever we passed in null to.
Show me stuff. I want to see stuff. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Down here, we'll drop our button for now, and I'm going to say schedule.map, and we'll call it episode. And then we're going to return an episode card with the episode of episode.
Yeah.
And I think that was the extra piece. What's missing? Map. Like that? No. What don't you like? Schedule.map. What's it unhappy about? Key. Aha. Key equals episode.id. I did need that ID after all.
Nice.
All right. So now that we've got this, what we should see on the home page here is cannot read properties of undefined because why? What don't you like?
Schedule.
Let me try refreshing. Maybe it just needed. There it is. Okay. So here's our dump. And as you can see, the width of these got blown out with the pre. So I'm not going to worry about that because that's not really what we care about. But this is kind of like a basic layout of episodes. We're pulling in the schedule, we're putting it on a dashboard. And at this point, what we would need to do is actually pull these pieces out. So maybe what we can do to get a better view of what's going on. Oh, that's terrible. I don't want that at all. Let's look at the inspector. And we can see, oops. Do we get a request? Oh, it all happens in in the next stuff. Okay, fine. Overflow X scroll, and that way we should be able to at least see
pre-tags are knowing that white space will get you.
What? Oh, get out of here. I always forget.
Nice.
Okay. What?
Yep, gotta maximize the width there. Could do like 100 VW.
There
Oh,
we go.
perfect.
That's what we
Cool.
needed. So we get a maximum size thing. Now we can schedule. So I want to show like the title, the date, and maybe the guest. Like that, maybe that's the thing that we want to build. So
Yeah.
that
Sounds like
would
we should make a
mean
card.
yes. So I want the title, the date, and the guest. And what I'm going to do down here is actually just spread episodes so that we don't have to double destructure. I think that'll be nice.
JSX superpower. Love that one.
Okay, and so then in here we can do a title, date, guest, and much simpler. Okay, so now we've got
Excellent.
nice little setup, and I'm ready to make a card. So to make a card, I think we can probably start this in parallel, and then we'll swap the pre out when we get there.
Nice.
So my instinct would be do a class name of card, and inside of it I want how do we want to display this? We kind of want it to be a like tabular-ish, so it would be like
there was that list version.
Yeah, right. So a list of things, so those would all be kind of next to each other. So I'm gonna do this as what's semantically meaningful here, probably.
You could just do divs and we'll put a flex display flex on the parent and squish them all together.
All right, so we'll do that. That's fine. So we'll do the title, do another one of these for the, actually let's put the date first, and then the last one that we're gonna do is gonna be a we need a couple pieces.
We'll do some
Let's
sort
do
of
the
avatar or something.
image. So we'll put in the guest 0 dot guest image dot asset dot URL. Gross. And then we'll set an alt of the guest 0 name.
Nice.
And finally, we will do probably for the sake of being able to do layout, we'll do a guest 0 name. Okay.
Nice.
So
there's our date. There is a date element you could put your date into. That could be a semantic choice there.
Okay, and then what is it? Date time.
Oh no, just date. It's an element type.
Right, but don't you have to give it a date time, or do you just like straight up drop a date in?
Yeah, just drop the date in. It's not going to like format it or do anything, but it is like a semantic element for holding dates or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And we could, if we wanted to, we can do like a new date, and then we can do to locale date string.
Nice.
And we get, I don't love that, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or actually, we can use to ISO. That'll be better. To ISO string.
Nice.
Ah, boo. We'll keep locale. It's fine. All right. So then what I want to do is we want to kind of like flex this out and make it look nice, because I would like for these to be a list. I'm going to drop the pre tags out so that we have, right, here's our ability to kind of list these episodes.
Excellent.
So
all right, CSS modules time.
Let's do it.
So there's like a home module or something like that already in the project.
So this is the home. Oh, you mean this piece?
Yeah. So I think
we deleted all of this, right?
Yeah. And just add your new card class in there.
Let's keep the container. All right, so we've got a container. Our container gives us a little bit of padding so that it's not smashed against the wall.
Here, first off, let's take that padding to rem, and let's change it to padding inline, and we'll use var size 5.
Like that?
Yep. You just used your first prop, and if you don't like that, you can make it size 6 and go up a little more. And if you wanted, you could change it to size -fluid 6 or 5 or something like that. Pick an amount of fluidity. Yeah, so now as the browser resizes, that would grow and shrink appropriately.
Really? So
There it goes. It's starting to
Neat.
grow there at the end.
Oh
The
yeah,
big
look at
ones
it
have
go.
so like we used, nice. Yeah, we used 5 or 6, right? So that means it has a big base that it's like the minimum it'll be. And so it'll climb to like a maximum. But yeah, some easy to use fluid variables in there.
Amazing. And then the inline is to get like to account for left to right and right to left, and like vertical and
so that's
on.
Yeah, the shorthand before was putting zeros on top and bottom. They're kind of like throwaway, and you can be more precise this way, which is kind of nice.
Great. Okay, so card.
Okay, so let's display flex. So there's no layout props for you. That would be something like a utility class would be much better for.
Okay.
But yeah, display flex should get them all lined up horizontally by default.
And because we're doing it the NextJS way, I need to take this.
You got to import it,
and we're gonna put this in here, and we'll do card instead. Ta-da!
Yeah. Okay. So let's just turn this into like a row with that looks more like a padded, kind of item. So we'll say background : var surface 2. And these are things that come with the normalize. So since this one, right. Okay. So there's a concept of surfaces in the normalize file so that you can put things in front of each other. Very much like you're looking at Gmail or you're looking at any sort of design system. There's usually these concepts of like surfaces and backgrounds. And so there's also text colors that come into, there's text 1 and text 2 and surfaces 1 through 4. Let's add padding here and do like a var size 2 space var size 4. So we will have like a little bit of padding up on the top and bottom, but more on the left and right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's put a gap. Let's do gap var size 3 or 4 or something like that. I was kind of expecting that to, that's gap for in between our items. I was thinking about gap this way. We'll get that one in the container. Let's do that in the container. Give the container display grid and a gap. I just felt really bossy right there.
All good. This is what I'm here for. One of those.
Yeah.
Oh no, what have I done?
Maybe
H1 schedule.
Display.
That should be working.
I see. It's because our card, I think it's because we have an extra wrapper around our div there, maybe. I'm not, actually, that doesn't make sense. They're each cards.
I can drop this out though. That doesn't need to be there anymore because we're not doing extra bits, but something is not liking.
The containers. The container is wrapping the head there. So I think there's an extra element, and we should put it on the.
You know what? I'm gonna just do one of these. Let's just do like a
call it
div class name
table or something.
Yeah. Styles table.
Nice.
Okay, and then we'll come in here and do a table, and then I'll drag these pieces.
Steal that stuff.
Right on down. There we go.
Boom. Booyah. Okay, cool. So let's give it a rounded corner. Do a border radius var. I think it's border radius 2 or 3, or you can kind of pick a different size. There's also a way to get autocomplete in VS Code. So we have instructions on the homepage to get that set up.
Oops, spelled it
wrong. But it has been kind of finicky recently.
Okay, I have screwed something up because... What did I miss?
It's called radius 2. Sorry, so that was my bad.
Oh, gotcha.
In fact, this is a good point in time to open up the... Oh yeah, see, it's a nice subtle one. Bump it up. Yeah, bump it up until you're happy. Go to the Open Props site real quick. And then at the bottom, there should be a sticky nav, which is kind of cut off in my view right now, like the very bottom. And there's a button there for borders, or like a link. There you go. So here's all the docs for the borders and all the naming.
Got it.
So we were just using radius 1 through 6. And so here's usage. So anytime you're like kind of curious about the syntax, pop in there, click one of the links at the bottom. It'll scroll you to the kind of docs for it.
All right. So here's how I'm going to do this. Let's get this down here. We'll move it up to the point where we can actually see what's going on with it. And
nice.
Make this a little bit bigger, make this a lot shorter. And then we'll take this, put this like this.
Ooh.
And now we got ourselves a little super dev environment. Okay, so I've got my borders, which I'll click on again. Borders. And so we've got border size, radius, round. In round, I assume makes it circular.
Yeah, and so that's an interesting one. It adds a value that's so large that it guarantees a maximum amount of rounding. And yeah, it can be great for the avatar image, where you'll set aspect ratio to ratio box. So there's a prop for making something a box, and then you can set the border radius to round.
Radius, round, and then you said, sorry, the aspect ratio was just box?
And var ratio box, yeah.
Oh. Got it. I thought there was one,
but in case, yeah. Ta-da. See, look at that.
All right,
the props are working.
All right. And then what I also want to do is I want to make these the same size. So if I want to do, is there like a...
There are size helpers. So there's a few. Yeah, go to sizes. This is a fun conversation topic in that there's like generic sizes, but notice how there's size content and size header.
Mm-hmm.
You could do size content 1, and that'll be like a healthy, you're like, this is content I want to be seen, and it'll be the smallest one that's there. It's interesting that it's varied. Oh, it looks like we have a...
I think this might be the flex problem.
Looks like flex. Yeah, it's trying to adapt to the intrinsic sizes of this. So we need to set the card image to shrink 0, I think. So flex shrink 0. Is that image a direct child of the card, or is there a parent class?
It's not. It's we've got
I think we'll need to do like card. What did we put it in there?
Card. It's here, so we can do class name of we'll go styles guest, and then in here we can do guest, and we'll do a shrink or flex shrink 0. There we go. Yeah. These are still pretty big. I feel like those ones I want to call it like 50 pixels, 40 pixels, so that it's kind of an inline.
Yeah. Do size content 6 or something like that. Can kind of work around inside of there. Or not size content 6, just size 6.
Oh, gotcha.
The content ones are a lot for like paragraphs and stuff, or images. Yeah, there you go. Just keep bumping it until you're happy. You're in the design system right now. You're just playing with the values that are allowed, right? So instead of the world as your oyster, you have a nice constrained world to work inside of.
Let's go with another display flex, and then we'll do a gap of... What did were we using size before for gap? Yes, size.
Yeah,
and
size
this one I think
4,
maybe like a 2. Oh, I squished it.
Oh yeah, got to put flex shrink 0 on your image now too. I know, it's a classic flex thing. They're like, we're doing you a favor. We'll stretch everything to fit. And you're like, I really don't want that. Oh, that one's an alignment issue. So this time, instead of doing flex shrink 0 on the image, go back to guest and give it a align items start. So right now, the items are being stretched vertically, and we're going to say, stop doing that. In fact, you could say align items center, and it probably a little more aligned with our layout here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. This is coming together. Let's see.
We have stuff. It's working. We could put align items center on our whole row, too. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, Beautiful. So we got a gap. Oh, let's add a box shadow to this card. Row item. And so yeah, just do box shadow. If you want, you can check the docs. There'll be a link down there for shadows. Yeah,
oh, this is delightful. Oh, inner shadows and
1,
shadows.
Shadow 2. Yeah.
Just grab this little buddy.
So that'll be a really subtle one. Try shadow 3.
Bam.
Yeah, a little better.
All right.
Okay, and then try 6 just for funsies. Like, see the huge ones. They're really like multi-layered, and anyway, so they can give you some really a good sense of depth. There a lot of time was spent on those shadows. If you switch to light, you'll see that the shadows change too, which is kind of fun. They adapt their strength to match sort of the new context that they're in. So they're adaptive shadows. Ooh. Look at that.
Ah, nice.
A little bit more subtle, right?
Yeah. Cool. Okay. We're cooking with gas here. So this is fun. All right, so I can get to like let's go with a 3. That felt pretty, maybe 4. Yeah. Yeah. How about that?
Nice. Yeah, those are really fun to play with, those shadows. And yeah, it's really easy to adjust later. You're like, oh, it's too heavy. I'll just drop a number. So that's a lot of Open Props. Open Props went with a naming system that just like, as you want to play and prototype, you're just sort of incrementing or decrementing these numbers that are within the design system's range that it provides for you.
This is, yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, and like, chat, this is really cool how quickly this happens, because, you know, this is the sort of thing that if I was doing this, I can do all of these things with straight CSS. But what's happened here is like, now that these things are named as props, like when I'm being responsible, I set up my projects with named props and I'll go through and actually do the work to make sure that I'm using those props everywhere. But what ends up happening is as I'm working, I kind of forget that I set up props on this page, and I'll start doing a whole new set over here. And then at the end of the project, I've made this sort of wandering mess, right? And so what I like about this is that it creates a uniform set of props, but I'm not fully into the like defining a whole design system in a JavaScript config object that gets exported into props and overrides defaults. And like, it's just like, okay, this just makes sense, right? And I do really like that. And I like that this, you know, we've got, I'm actually just going to give this like padding all the way around. Yeah. Okay. But like, we've got this like clean setup here. Like, this is a really nice looking way to deal with this setup. And I didn't have to think about it very hard. I'm, you know, and the speed with which I'm able to kind of dive around in here and try stuff is really pleasant.
Reminds me of a topic I'd like to mention too, which is that Open Props ships all the props and the normalize using the where selector. And this is valuable because you as an author, you import all this stuff and it comes in with 0 specificity, which means when you want to make a decision that's better or more specific for your project, overriding those props or overriding the styles from the normalized is a 0 specificity battle. You add it, you'll win. You'll never compete with my library. Which is kind of cool.
That is like, this is the sort of stuff that just like, it's so subtle, but it's such a trip up. Like I'm thinking back to the, like when I used to build a lot with Bootstrap, and 99.9% of the time it was easy. And then you'd find this one spot where specificity was high, and suddenly you're doing like okay, well, let me do the element name and a class name and an attribute selector with a style override to get this thing to actually show up. And it's like,
you're
why?
playing a game. You're like, the specificity war. Yeah. Yeah. That's not a fun scenario to be in. Yeah.
This is really, really cool. Getting a lot of love from this in the chat. So what you know what I want to see next is we're not actually going to hook this up to data because we don't have time for that today, but let's make a form as if I was going to submit a new episode. So let's build out like a title, date, and like guest selector.
Nice. Oh, too bad the Open Props forms isn't ready yet. I can send you the code pen though for it.
If that's not ready, we can do something else. If you want to.
I mean, you can style the form elements as you want. The normalized does do really minor things to them so that they're light and dark themed and stuff like that. In fact, it's actually worth just checking out to see what you get with inputs with just the normalize.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll set up a new function that will be the form, and that's gonna be, it doesn't need anything, so that's gonna return a we'll set up a form. For now, it'll just be we won't have it submit anywhere, and then we can set up, how do we want to do this? Let's do a label, and I'm just going to use the label to wrap around. Should I wrap around the inputs or set them up as separate entities? What's going to work best? Like,
well, if you wrap them, you don't have to do all the IDs and the pointing.
That was kind of what I was thinking about, but I wasn't sure if that would mess with the open props. Let's do that. Because I like being able to do that.
Nice.
To give us the ability to go block with our label but not give it any semantic meaning, we'll do something like this, and then in here we'll do an input type text and right, that's good enough. Do one more of these. This is going to be an input type date. And one more of these. This one will be the guest name. And I think I might skip the image input unless you really want to do a file input.
Well, I mean, you can see what it looks like. It is styled.
Oh, okay, all right. Let's do. Is it called
Minimally,
file? Is that
yeah.
right?
Input type file, yeah.
Okay.
You can pass in like
take...
a matches thing later and try to, you know, have it only pull in images or something. But yeah.
Okay. So here's our.
Do-do-do.
We are already kind of out of the gate looking nice. So I'm gonna go in here and give this a class name of styles form, and then we can come in here.
CSS Modules is so cool like that. You're like, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna name it something easy and short.
It's so nice,
so sweet.
Okay, so then I'm gonna give this a let's do
display grid with some gap. Might just start.
Yep. Display grid. The gap we will set up to be var size. See how 2 looks, and then I'm also gonna set a margin. Is it margin block, margin start? What's the?
Yeah, block will be the top and the bottom. And
yeah,
then
so
let's
let's
do dash start to do just the top.
Size, or no, it was size fluid 3.
Yep. Look at you go.
Size 4.
Oh man, we haven't even got into the gradients or the masks or the easings or the animations, but
so many great things to do here. But like, look how far we just got with this little bit, right? So now I can do like form label. I'm gonna do form label span actually, because why not? And we'll do a display block. Good. And then we'll do a form input because they're all inputs, and we can do a width. Is there a, like, if I'm gonna do this, is there a smart thing in Open Props?
No, 100% is good to go. Yep.
All right. So look at that, y'all. So this would be the way that we would set up a new episode. Right? We could just build it right in here. And then when we go to do one of these, it would open up the file selector. Like, this is all just very nice. And I love that this just sort of looks like it's part of the system without being, you know, it's not overly styled or anything like that. But
yeah,
there's the animation.
There's the animation. Yeah, I saw it. I was like, okay, so I don't know what was up before, but there it is.
Really nice. Yeah, really, really nice looking. Okay, so we got a form. And that, honestly, that's no joke. That's the fastest I've ever made a form in my entire life. That was like this awesome. Form looks nice, and I've literally we spent 3 minutes on that, maybe.
Well, yeah, and go check out the CodePen link I sent you in our ping chat. That'll open up the. Well, I sent you a couple links, but yeah, one of you can see where the form inputs are going to be soon. I don't know. Click on both. I can't remember which one was which. Oh, the private looking one was the one for the form inputs. Okay, so these are all the button types. So when you imported buttons and you change the type, this is what they'll look like.
Nice.
And you can see, look at button custom there. See in the CSS, it says button custom.
Uh-huh.
So to override, we're talking about no battles, no specificity battles. Like, you make a class, you put some styles in it, you're good to go.
Beauty. All right, let me pull up this other one.
This one is the form, and the future of the form. We'll see this soon. Once I've worked out some of the like kinks across browser and stuff. But there, look at those dark themes. They've got icons in there for you. So all of that is, if you look at the code too, they're vanilla inputs. Just look at that. It's just a type text, type email. I add the icons based on that type. So again, like the buttons, how the style follows the type of the component itself. Same thing with the inputs.
That is beautiful. Like, and this is like, this is wonderful, right? Like, this is so nice to see. Just, I think, what was it? We talked to Chan about this. With styling with attribute selectors. This was a very cool setup, and something that I would highly recommend everybody checks out. But this is very cool. Do you mind if I share these in the chat, or?
Sure.
All right, cool. So this is,
the only reason those aren't, definitely share those. I'd love to get more feedback and tell me what you look for, and just like an easy form input import. does this do too much or too little for you? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got this this nice looking dashboard, and now the next thing that I'd like to do is maybe I want to add a notice up at the top about something that's happening, and I want to give it a big beautiful gradient to catch some eyeballs, and
Yeah, and
maybe
an
it
animation.
animates a little bit so that people make sure to look at it.
Yeah, that sounds good. One little thing before we go, the date inside of our card, will you give that var text to? That will bump its contrast back just a little bit. So text 1 is being very contrasty. This is the text I want to be read. And then subtle text or small text or ancillary text is really great to give that var text to. So you'll still be within accessibility, but it does push it back
something wrong.
very subtly. Label span, or we wanted the date element, I think it was.
The date element itself. I got you.
Oh yeah, the date element in the card. So do like card space date.
The date element within the card. This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was working in the form. Yeah, let me go give this one just the date element. So we'll do a card date.
Nice. It should be pretty subtle, but that looked almost so subtle that we didn't see it. Try a color or just do indigo 5.
It is working. So everybody watch. I'm going to save one. Okay. This is going to get brighter. Boom. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Save 2.
So it's just, so again, subtle. It's subtle. It's not like we're trying to make it illegible. We're just subduing it to make way for the primary thing you want to read, which is the person's name and the title there. So.
No, that's very nice, which is, that's what we want, right? Okay. So then let's go in here and let's make a
animated little banner. Yeah. Good call.
And so this one is going to be we'll call it an aside. And it's going to have I
just thought of a bad HTML joke. Have you ever had an acai bowl?
Yeah.
I mean, have an acai bowl? Acai bowl? Acai bowl? Flop. It was a floppy prop.
We've caused physical pain to the chat at this point.
Everyone's like, and we unsubscribe.
Oh, but the Metal Horns is here with appreciation for that joke. Thank you, the Metal Horns, for and welcome, first time chatter. Okay, so let's put a note in here. Let's see. Please remember to include a photo with every episode, or my crappy software will fall over. Okay. So that's a good note that is important to include because it's true. And I'm going to put this in here.
Perfect.
All right.
Oh, so that needs some props, man. Jeez.
It needs some things. Okay, so I'm gonna put. We could just style directly on the aside, but in the interest of CSS props, I'll give it a class name, and we'll call it styles banner, and we'll drop this in here. So we're up above the card, up above the table, even. Is anybody picking up on all of my nice little obsessions around how to organize CSS? So I need what do I need? I need a little bit of margin start. We'll go with a var size 4. Nope, did it wrong.
Margin block start. Or start. Inline start. I'm assuming you want block. Yep. Perfect. So let's give it a little padding as well. That'll make sure our gradient has some space around the text.
And we did what, a size 2 and a size 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Well, let's just throw our gradient on there. So do background :var gradient 1 through 30 or whatever you can pick from. If you click gradients at our doc site down at the bottom, you can go get a preview of what those all are.
This is fun. Look how fun this is.
There you go. Just scroll through those.
Oh, they're just scrolling on through. Let's see, 2 is currently my front runner. I like 2. Let's see, maybe Wait, what's this one? Black on black. That's the Batman gradient.
It's cool. So many of these gradients are harmonious for reasons that you can't explain, but I can. Like a lot of them are radial. A lot of them are conic, but they look linear.
I just want to take a moment to appreciate. Okay, dum dum. Oh, it's so good. No, Okay, so I think 2 looked great. There are a ton of these in here. Radial gradients are awesome. I do really like the look and feel. I love these multi mesh gradients. They're so freaking cool. But this, so now now looking at this, I want a little bit of text shadow. That feels like it'll make that text pop right off here. So I
don't have text shadow props, though. It's in the backlog. Like if enough people are like, I'd like to save our text shadow, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can make it. But
what are my colors? Maybe I can just do like a color, set it to the background, right? So the general background.
Oh yeah, do a var surface 1. So the text shadow will pull in that color from the background there. That'll look cool.
There we go.
Nice.
Just real subtle, pops it right off that gradient a bit to keep the legibility high.
Although I think that surface prop will adapt to a light theme and not look good. So let's try gray 5 or something like that.
And the gradient won't change?
The gradient won't, but I mean this text shadow will. It will adapt to because they're light and dark text. So the text colors and the surface colors adapt. Yeah, something dark. The higher numbers are darker. Yep.
9. Cool. There we go. I'm happy with that.
Rad. Okay, so what do we want to do next? Should we animate it?
We want probably just a little bit of border radius. Let's see if I can do this from memory. It was radius 2, I think, is what we've been using. There we go. So now it matches, and then I want my box shadow to also match. And so my box shadow, I forget which one we used, was, here's my card. Box shadow.
Yeah, shadow 4.
Copy that thing right up there.
This kind of comes into a cool conversation too, where there's global props, which you just imported, and then you're going to start eventually creating local props. Because just like you said, it's like, well, my design is going to use more shadow 4s than anything else. So you can make your own prop called, my brand shadow, and it can be backed by open props. And so it's kind of nice. You start this prop stack where you've got your own custom in-house ones that are supported by these global open prop ones.
And so I just did a thing that is a kind of an attempt to create hierarchy here, which is I added height to the banner with a bigger shadow, and I dropped the height of the cards with a lower shadow. Who knows if this is design advice from Jason, take it with a grain of salt. But we've got these kind of look nice and tight. This one looks like it's floating out over the top, and let's animate that a bit too to make it feel, grabby.
Awesome. This part's fun. Click the animations link in our doc site, and we can go preview all of the props you get to play with.
Animations. Okay, so we've got fade, shake. Oh, you just got these built in. I don't have to. That's awesome. I thought I was going to have to do more. Ping, blink, float, bounce, pulse. Oh, okay. Pulsing feels like what we want.
Scroll down more and you can see them. But anyway,
okay. All right.
They're all interactive. Yeah, try them out.
Okay, so here's a fade in, fade out. Nice. Okay, so the slides all make sense to me. Let's do a spin. A pulse.
And those ones are infinite. Yeah, pulse is also infinite. Well, indeterminate or whatever.
Bounce. So that would be if you've got a notification somebody needs to deal with. Float is fun. Oh, this feels like the thing, right? Or what's a ping? That's too much. But the blink looks pretty good. Oh, maybe the shake is the right call. Right? Hey, look at me. Okay, I'm gonna use that.
We'll do a single shake.
So we're going to animate. And
We'll
if I
do
just do
animation.
like a animation shake Y.
Very close. So instead of animate, it'll be animation. At the very beginning there. Yep. And then I think that is it though. Yeah, animation shake Y. There you go.
All right.
You're done.
Anytime you reload this page, it's going to be like, yo, read this, which I love. That's exactly what we were going for. It's not super overbearing, but it is eye-catching.
Let's also animate the like the cards in. Do you want to slide them up, slide them from the left? I don't know. We can do some cool stuff there really quick too.
Yeah, I think I do. Okay.
And then maybe, okay, if we slide them in, we'll add the bounce easing so you can see that you can get some kind of nice bounces for free too.
Oh, yep. Okay, so if I do animation, it was slide in. Is that right?
Slide in right. I think you have to pick a direction.
Oh, you gotta pick a direction. Slide in right. There they are.
If you want, you can also combine that, do comma, animation fade in. This is where Open Props starts to blow minds, is that people didn't know your keyframes can be composable together. So this will merge the fade in with the slide at the same time and time it for you so you can see it.
I did it wrong.
Although we have to set opacity 0 to start from a fade out state. There are ways around that, which kind of get a little bit more advanced, but not that much. Okay, so we have opacity 0. Oh, I know. We need to do var animation fade in space forwards. That way it'll fade in and then stick the playhead at the end and remain faded in.
Ah, I get it. Okay. And then we want to do an animation delay. So what I can do for that to stagger.
You got the map already in there.
Yeah, I got the map already in here, which is down. The
map. Sorry, I'm a dad.
And then what do we need to do here? I need to pass this in as a
style. Oh yeah, you could either write the delay itself, or you could make it a custom property and do it in the.
Yeah, I think I need to pass it in as a thing because we're not like inheriting all the other props here. So I'm going to do a index equals I, and then here we're gonna get, where's my card? Let's collapse the banner. Here's the card. Get my index, and then with this one we will do a data count equals index, right? And then what we can do in here is a card. No, I don't want to do it that way. We can just use the data. This is a slightly
easier way. Yeah, set the so do animation delay. Yeah, and then here set it to your variable.
Wait, is it? Oh, hold on. How does this work?
Yeah, you will do some math in there too.
Data. No, is it attribute?
Yes.
Attribute.
Yeah. And I don't know if it'll actually pull in that. Let's see. Yeah.
You better work. And
if it doesn't, we'll just put the prop in line as like a custom property. Yep, that seems okay. So we've got the data count.
Nah, it doesn't work. So I gotta do it. Different. So in here we'll do
instead of style, do style equals, instead of data count, style equals, and then we'll make a property on the fly, dash underscore delay or something like that.
Oh, you don't have to do the underscore.
That's just something I like to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the value of it is your index.
Oh, is the index.
And now you'll have that custom property.
So I can do index. And we could do this a bunch of ways, but I'm gonna do it as var delay.
Yeah. There they go, staggered in.
Let me make it way slower so everybody can see what just happened. Right?
Perfect. Okay, so now we want to do animation timing function. So underneath our animation delay, we're going to modify the way that it bounces in. And to do that, we'll do var -- easing elastic 3.
Wait.
Oh, I didn't quite see it. Was it there?
Did I screw this up? Animation timing function.
I don't think so. Easing elastic 3. Let's check the easings down there. Yeah, easing ease elastic 3.
Ah. Boing.
And if it was too strong, drop the number down. So do ease elastic 1. So for a little bit more of a subtle elastic effect.
Boing. And then we
Nice.
can maybe even... Ooh, what's squish? Squish.
Yeah, if you scroll down in that doc site, you can try all those on too.
I love squish.
Looked
Look
good
at
there. That was nice.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Boing.
Squish is nice because it does a little bounce at the beginning and at the end. So as elastic, it kind of starts with a lot of velocity and then kind of bounces in at the end. And squish will do it on both sides at the start and the end.
That is really nice looking. So this is great. Look at him go.
Yeah, check those out. So there's the 3 or the 5 easings compared against each other.
Right.
And what Open Props does that's nice here is like you only have ease or ease in or ease out. You have like a couple of basic options built in the browser, but this makes 5 flavors of each and adds elastic, squish, and steps. So you can kind of just use these however you want, and you can preview what they look like here. Yeah.
That's great. Oh, God. Oh, this is
okay, cool. So we
awesome.
animated, we customized it, we got some elastic in there. Yeah, I got a gradient in there. I mean, you can just,
This is awesome. I mean, I am very happy. Like we were able to do a lot of things in very little time, because the piece that usually trips me up with CSS is that I'll start to see a style emerging as I start messing with things, and then you kind of have to go back and tweak and tweak and tweak. And you know, as y'all saw, when I added this banner, I wanted to mess with these shadows to make this feel more important instead of having all of these at the same height. And all I had to do was just go knock the number down a bit. And I feel like that is such a cool, like, iterative sort of thing. So like as a prototyping tool, this is going to change a lot for me personally, because I can just like whip out a quick, like, here's how I think this should feel. And then later I can go in and override, do some custom props, like make some general customizations. But like, man, it's nice to be able to just throw something together, right? And this is the sort of thing that, like, if I were to build this on my own, and everybody's seen me do this, right? You've seen me build apps from scratch on Learn with Jason all the time. And what ends up happening is they end up being pretty unstyled, and there's a lot of like, yeah, I'll have to go make that look nicer later. And generally I don't have time to do it because, you know, I have like 90 minutes twice a week to write code. That's the unfortunate circumstance of my job right now. So, so that's like, this is Vinny. Vinny's like, yeah, we've seen you struggle. Come on.
I struggle too. This stuff's hard. No worries.
Just getting wrecked by the chat. But no, this is really wonderful. So, okay. So chat, questions. Nikki's kicking us off with a question before I even got to say it. Does this do the tree shaking thing where only the variables you used are included? It doesn't, because we're still going from the general import. Actually, why don't we fix that? Let's go clean this up. So I'm using NextJS. I am going to put this back over here so that we've got a little more real estate to work with in here. And I'm going to pull the... so what do I want to do if I want to take this out of the unpackage import and into a more production, let's use post CSS, or not necessarily post CSS if that's a lot of setup, but if... how do we get this into Next.js in a more like build system-y way?
Yeah, so there's a couple of strategies we can do here. We talked earlier on the show about JIT props, which is a post CSS plugin. It does not work with CSS modules. There's a clash of ideals between like the scope of that class, and you can use props, but you have to put them in the global space. So in that case, for like just Next.js and CSS modules, you can use uncss, or there's like a couple of CSS minifiers that will remove unused custom properties for you. So there's a way to take them out versus, JIT props only puts in what you use. So there's like an additive strategy to being minimal and a subtractive strategy to being minimal. But there's a third one, which we can do right here, which is kind of easy. So if you npm install open props, just npm I open-props, it's
NPM
not really going to...
open props?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, and this will just kind of make it a little bit more succinct for us to do. Oh, nice. Okay.
It looks like they kicked us off with yarn, so I'll stay there.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Look at that huge download. Jeez, that was tons. Wow, it took forever. All right. So for our imports now, just get rid of the HTTPS unpackaged part, and then also get rid of the min.css part. And so now you're accessing the styles through the module exports, the package exports.
Okay.
And so those little short import paths, I map them to actual CSS files. Oh, look at that. Wait, how does it not know what Open Props is? We just installed it, right?
It doesn't like Open Props. Do we need to...
Oh, try Open Props /style. That's depending on the bundler. It tries to resolve the module's default. And anyway, I've done some work that if you import Open Props from JavaScript, which by the way, there's all these in JavaScript. So if you want to do styled components or emotion or something like that, you want to use these props in your JavaScript, you can import all the tokens that way. So anyway, that's what that mix-up was. Next was like, hey, I found JavaScript at Open Props, and that meant my thing didn't quite map it right into anyway, whatever. So styles are a very specific way of saying I want the style file. Okay, so if we want to be minimal from here, well, what we need to do is not import style. Style is all the props. There's like 350 of them, and we haven't. Well, this kind of gets hard because we use normalize.
We use normalize.
And normalize uses a bunch of props, and we don't really know which ones it used. So the idea of being minimal that I was going to go with here. Oh, nice tweak.
It's going to yell at me if I don't.
That new component, yeah.
They don't have an aspect ratio. Dang it! What's the? I don't like this.
Width is if you set width, it'll set an aspect for you, I think.
Is it?
Or and we have an aspect ratio, I think, in our CSS.
Width and height or layout
must use
fill.
width and height. Oh, layout fill. Okay.
See, this is one of those things because if I make it layout fill, then I actually really, I have issues with Next for this next image thing because they fail your builds if you don't use next image, and then they require you to do a bunch of config to get it to work, and it's like, y'all, don't be like that. Like, don't make me do that. So I need to add cdn.sanity.io so that it doesn't explode, and they don't show me the actual code. Ugh, okay. Module.exports. Next config, I need images. Nope. Domains. And now it'll maybe not yell at me. Do I have to stop and restart to get that to work? Yes, I have to stop and restart to get that to work.
Kick it.
Kick it like the Beastie Boys?
Nice.
See, but now it broke my freaking props. See, this is the thing that kills me, right?
Overwritable. Yeah.
And this is the whole thing. Like, this is one of those problems where, like, I don't want to do this. I want to be able to set an aspect ratio or something like that. Don't make me put styles into my stuff, because now I gotta like tweak this, and it breaks all of my other stuff. And this is now no longer in my CSS. It's just not my favorite API. I feel like it has opinions that are not like they don't jive with me. Anyways, we're not talking about Next. I just wanted that warning to go away.
Yeah, I'm glad you did that. I was trying to explain that like a third strategy is just importing what you use. And so instead of where we were importing /style, you can go import /gradients /sizes /easings /animations. And so you can kind of manually reduce the bundle by just importing what you know you've used. It gets a little difficult with normalize, because normalize is going to be it mostly uses sizes though, so I don't think you're going to run into that many issues.
We're going to lose some stuff right now.
But we'll see it.
Yeah, we lost
colors. Like, we need the color. We need the gray colors. I think it's just gray. Oh,
colors,
that's all
we're
the
missing
colors.
Our border radiuses.
Yeah, borders, I think, is what the keyword is there. Our shadows. Oh, we need the typography. Oh, maybe it's, what is my import name here?
Typography?
Check my package JSON exports to see what the name of that one is. Typography. Fonts.
Okay. Fonts.
There we go.
Do we get everything?
Well, it looks pretty good.
I think so.
I think we did.
And we did. Yeah, we used. Let's see. What else are we missing here? We've got ratios. Let's see. Animation, gradient, radius, shadow, size, gray, animation, my custom thing, easing, surface. Do we need to do anything to get surfaces?
No, those are defined to normalize. So normalize backs the surface colors with the grays, I think.
Gotcha.
Radius. Our link color probably failed because we probably need to import indigo. Anyway, this is one way to do it. If you do have the JIT props way, when you import normalize, it just automatically adds all the props for you, and it's really nice. But all in all, like the props bundle, like if you get all the props, it's really tiny. And
well,
you never know when you'll need more. Kind of,
yeah, and we can even check like bundle phobia. Or this is not going to do what we want because it's not going to do the individual exports. It's going to be the whole package, which isn't really helpful. Yeah, we'll skip that because that's just going to be, I feel like when you do that with something that's properly tree shaken, it gives false information. Okay, so this though is looking really nice. And, we saw how quick that downloaded. Like it's clearly not a big library, even if you import everything. And if we look at the network tab here, let's see. Let's go for just our CSS. Oh, we're in dev mode, so everything's in JavaScript. I
have the file sizes on the doc site in case you want to check them out there.
Lovely. How does one...
They're just above
overview.
the... So I scroll down there, under the demos, under the sales pitches, right here, the overview.
Yeah, so total thing, openprops.min is 3.4 kilobytes. Like... If you're importing React into your site, this is not the piece you need to worry about.
That's kind of the idea. It's like you can go JIT props if you're really trying to shave things off, or you can but most of the time, I don't think these props are going to be making your bundles explode. It'll be everything else.
Yeah.
Can we do one more random weird thing before we kind of wrap a little?
Absolutely.
We just deployed some new masks in Open Props. And they're really cool, and they're really easy to use. Yeah, so pop to the top and add a prop.
Pop to the top and add a prop. We're dropping swappy props.
Dude, more wraps. It's going to come out. And in here, just do masks. Yeah.
Okay, got some masks.
Oh, wait, I think it's masks.edges. Let's see. Did it fail? Yeah, it did fail. Oh, yeah, masks. Oh, I didn't. I did. Okay, masks slash edges.
Edges. Got it.
And there's also corner ones too, but we'll try edges first. So now we'll go to our card and add a style to it because we're going to give basically the right side of it. We're going to give it a little edge. And so in here, you're going to do WebKit-mask, and then you're going to say var, and then open up the doc site, and we're going to go shop. We're going to go shop some masks. This is a really fun part about Open Props, is like shopping. So at the very bottom, you'll find it in the links at the very end.
There we go.
Brand new. Here they are.
Rad
look
edges.
At that little jagged.
I love it. All right, so we got scoops, we got scallops, we got drips, zigzags. I like it. Okay, let's give it a zigzag.
That's it for now.
Let's do a zigzag.
Let's do that zigzag right.
All right, so I'm going to go in here. I've got my mask.
Zigzag right.
Mask, edge, zig, zag, right. Coming over here.
And voila.
And bam! All right, so let's also set...
They're just kind of stupid and fun, right?
Yeah, and that's really the most that anybody can ever hope for, is that we're both...
How dare I make this fun? This shouldn't be fun.
And then I'm going to just give it a bit more padding on that right side.
Nice.
So we'll set this one at like 6 or something. Well, bam.
Excellent.
Look at it.
So cool.
It's
so
beautiful.
Those are new. We'll be adding more masks. There's like ideas about icons too. So like I can send you a thing that's like really easy to mask an icon and then use a Open Props gradient on it, and they look great. So there's all sorts of possibilities, because they're subatomic, and they're like, we're just named values for you to use at your own free will to go be creative and fun with. And, the normalize is nice if you're trying to start new and you want to lighten a dark theme, and you can work with the surface props that it creates, or you could build your own. You could import any other reset, any other normalize that you like to use, and then just start building with the props. Super out of your way. Hopefully it feels like wind beneath your wings type of thing.
Open Props, you're the wind beneath my wings. I love it. I love it. This is wonderful. Okay, so let's see any questions here. I don't see any additional questions, but I do see a call from Cynthia to drop the Open Props Discord, which is a pretty good transition into where should people go if they want to learn more.
Awesome. Yes, the Discord is great. There's a lot of discussions. So there are, like, I put discussions on GitHub. So literally like all the things that are coming out in the future. This is like more props we want to name. Oh, good, you found it off the website. Perfect. I don't have to share it to you. And yeah, if you're in the Discord, you'll see us talking about new props. You'll see people asking questions about various issues that they have. It's usually like SaaS related or import related. I feel like the number one most often asked question is, hey, my import isn't working. And usually it means they need to add /style because that bundler doesn't like it. Like Vite, for example, you don't have to add /style. Vite knows to resolve the module because it's a CSS import. It knows to look for the CSS file. Others are just a little bit more naive and need a little bit of a handheld. But yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so here we've got, I dropped the openprops.style again in the chat. This is a very comprehensive set of demos and docs. I love the way it's set up. If we get down to the bottom of the page here, it looks like we've got some general setup. Here's the JIT props. Here's post CSS, npm, and then we can get on GitHub, Discord, or Twitter. Let me pop the Twitter open here, so you can go and here's Adam.
To me. Should have gone to Open Props, but it's okay.
We've also got Open Props. That's not right.
Might be no dash.
No dash, that's right. Open Props. There it is.
Yeah.
And so you can go give that a follow, like I'm about to do. And now we've got Open Props news right there in our stream, just like every day. See what's new. Adam, any
nice.
Any last words before I do the teardown here?
There's so many last words. There was a cool link at the top of the doc site for open in browser or try in browser. And if you want to just try JIT props with Vite pre-set up, give that a link. Give that link a look. It's all ready to go. I know, dude. I'm so happy that word is cool again because I've been using it forever. I'm like, great. I don't sound old.
Unapologetically.
I'll show you how.
I love it. You know what? It is rad. This is truly, if anything is rad, this is rad. I love the ease of use. It didn't feel like I was learning a new language. Everything is very natural language and pleasant. The docs are really navigable, which is wonderful. I don't feel like I'm bouncing around all over the place. It's just all one page. This feels like something that will feature in my prototyping in the future, and potentially even in the way that I build things in production as well, because, well, if I ever build anything in production again. But my rapid prototyping, I think, just got a huge level up because things are going to be beautiful without much time. Which I'm sure the chat will appreciate, as I'm not spinning in circles on CSS for 45 minutes of an hour-long attempt to build something useful.
One last thing. Dude, okay, we talked about the swappy props. We never used it. The
swappy
conditional
props.
radius.
Oh my
God. Put it
God.
on the cards. Let's put it on the cards. They need it.
Okay. Let's put it on the cards. We'll do it real fast. Okay. Swappy props on the cards. What do I do?
Border radius conditional 2, I think. Let's see. Check the doc site, but I think it's just radius conditional 2.
Okay, radius conditional 2.
So it's the same amount of rounded you expected,
right?
But when they go full width, that should go away.
Okay, so full width, and the way I'm going to go full width is I'm going to get rid of that. And
excellent. Look at them. Look at them
and
square.
Look, you can see the difference because this one isn't, this is not a swappy prop. This is a swappy prop, and it did what we wanted it to do, which is exactly what I want to happen when I'm building like fluid layouts and stuff. So swappy props for the win. With that, let's do a quick teardown. This episode, like every episode, has been live captioned. We've had Maggie from White Coat Captioning here all day. Thank you very much for being here. That's made possible through the support of our sponsors, Netlify, NX, and New Relic, all making the show more accessible to more people, which I really appreciate. Make sure you go check out the schedule, subscribe on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss any episodes. You can also find the Google Calendar. You can find me on Twitter. You can find Adam on Twitter. You can find all sorts of people on Twitter. Lots of friendly people on Twitter. I think we're going to call this one a win. Adam, thank you so much for being here today. Chat, stay tuned. We're going to go find somebody to raid. We will see you all next time.